Hello, cinefans. I'm Kendall Cruver, and this is Watching Classic Movies. Love all the classic film GIFs online? That is thanks in part to my guest, GIPHY Editor Tiffany Vazquez, who has made a career of bringing brief but potent moving images to millions of users. While she loves sharing movie history and fun clips with the masses, there's so much more to her work, from ways to make life easier to highlighting vibrant moments from the past. We had a great talk about the magnificent power and variety of GIFs. Welcome, Tiffany. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell me your GIPHY story. How did you end up working for GIPHY?
I was actually working at Film at Lincoln Center, and I heard about this opening at GIPHY for a job, and it was a strange, I'd never read a job listing like it because there really weren't jobs like that, but it just pretty much said a lot of knowledge and enjoyment of pop culture and like an editorial eye for those kinds of things. And I was a little bit hesitant because I really wanted, at the time, I thought I wanted to just focus completely on, but I thought, well, let me just see what they're about. And that's how it started. Have now been there for about 7 years. I think there actually really was a huge connection between classic movies and GIFs, and then just movies and art in general, and other things that I'm a fan of. So that's kind of how it went along. And I started as an editor, just kind of process of like all of our content, and now it's a lot more refined. So now I just focus pretty much on movies, and a little bit of other entertainment stuff. And I also actually started our ERG.
So are you responsible for how many classic movie GIFs there are? Because when I realized how many in there, you expect the latest Marvel, the latest event. There are so many amazing classic film GIFs. Is this you?
There's just too many people on the internet who love classic film, as they should. And so Giphy's a search engine. So in the way that you would, search on Google for classic film images, Giphy, that lots of classic film lovers have made all over the internet. But then there are also other ways of getting this stuff. I've definitely made a lot. and then there are other people like Warner, the lovely Warner Archives folks, and through them either making GIFs themselves or us making GIFs for them, that stuff gets on there too. So there's lots of different ways that classic film GIFs get on to Giphy, or just like the internet in general. I definitely get as many as possible just so that they're more visible for people, but I definitely can't take credit for the amount that are out there.
Yeah, somehow it takes a team.
Yes.
Okay, so I have kind of a list in mind of the ones that I see all the time. I see Cary Grant doing "Get Out," pointing his finger. I see Shirley
Right.
giggling, and then my favorite is Elizabeth Taylor doing a dead drop faint. Which have you noticed that have people that are popular that people use all the time?
First of all, GIFs don't have sound. And so a lot of these movies were made, a lot of Charlie Chaplin, actually all over the internet because of the expressive nature of them. How they were made. It's so funny that silent film GIFs, like 100+ years later, translates so well. So Buster Keaton, they're so incredible and just like so well used. There's a lot of GIFs from modern times, specifically of Charlie Chaplin, that are used all over the place. I see a lot Taylor fainting. There's Gene Tierney from Leave Her to Heaven used a lot because of the melodramatic nature of the performance. There's lots of Cary Grant, actually, from everything from Arsenic and Old Lace to North by Northwest, especially when they're forcing him to drink. And it's a lot of Hitchcock too, really. It's why they're classic movies in the first place. They have such a wide appeal, and these moments from them continue to live in different ways and kind of resonate with people in different ways, whether it's just like a comedic aspect or just, cultural fandom. So many different reasons why classic film GIFs are so popular.
I do think it's interesting that somebody who might be hesitant to watch a classic film would
understand some of what makes these films great through these images. I wonder if it's even turned people on to the movies. I have the feeling people are just seeing these images and being amused by them, but I like to think that it might get them a little curious about the movies themselves. Just to be curious about why this man is jumping around in a frilly robe, say, or what movie is this, train going across a bridge and falling into the water, that kind of a thing.
Right. Yeah. I think that that is why I do try, and a lot of people on editorial at Giphy, as appropriately as possible, because let's say you do have this GIF of Cary Grant running away, hiding from a plane, and they're just wondering what is going on in this GIF. Why is this person running? Why is a plane chasing a man in a field in the middle of nowhere? So to have all these images without context, tag them as much as possible, just so that, in case the curiosity does come over someone and they see that it is tagged North by Northwest, then look it up and then go, oh, okay, that's a Hitchcock movie. I've seen maybe Psycho or something, and lead possibly to them watching the movie and loving it. Maybe that can open the door. At one point, it was other things. It could have, for some classic film fans, it was just Wonderful Life on TV during Christmas time that got them into maybe exploring other classic films. But today, it could possibly be GIFs. It could possibly be, something on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter. So there's lots of different ways and to maybe help people find some of this stuff out.
Well, that's interesting to me that these short form things, like even little YouTube videos, in addition to TikTok and Giphy, you would think that they would be this modern technology in surface to modern ideas, but it really is a great way to give somebody a taste of these movies and get them interested.
Yeah, especially I don't want to make a blanket statement and say that everyone's attention spans are shorter, but a lot of the things that we are subject to and we watch and we see are sort of catered to know if you can catch someone's attention with maybe a taste of what they can experience, then why not? I'm not saying everything should be 6 seconds long. You can, if you can show someone just like a scene of Dorothy Dandridge as Carmen, and then just, I mean, that alone, her presence is so incredible, and the style of that anyone these days, just watching anything because she is so beautiful, because the whole thing is alluring. And then it could grab someone's attention and just be like, oh, okay, I wonder what that is. And then, take it from there.
Do you have anything as far as the classics are related that you haven't done a Giphy that you want to do, or do you feel like you're just going to just keep capturing them? I guess what I'm wondering is there a goal here, or are we capturing images as they appeal, kind of?
Well, a lot of the gifts that I've personally made have been of these that I would say I haven't seen too much footage of outside of the film itself. So I actually did help on this major project with Giphy and panel on Giphy, where it pretty much serves as archival purpose. You can look at GIFs on the Oscars channel on Giphy going all the way back to I believe, it just, we grabbed newsreel footage and made GIFs of it. And there's really incredible moments of stars showing up to the Academy Awards. There's a GIF like a banquet hall, and I'm not sure if it was yet at if it was still in the Roosevelt Hotel at that time, the year of that ceremony. But either way, it's just incredible. And then have it in short form too. So it can like serve as almost just moving history. And then there's moments from Oscars where, you know, there's moments of Sidney Poitier and Oscar. There's moments of Isaac Hayes. There's moments of all of these people who I felt aren't maybe talked about enough. So maybe like someone like Katy Jurado isn't really the most talked about classic film star there is. And so I want to make more gifs of her. So I guess the goal in my mind is to highlight a lot of people who not remembered, forgotten in some way, or never really got the type of shine that I wish they did. Um, yeah, I think that's it.
That's actually really exciting to think about somebody, well, like you say, as dynamic as Gerardo. I mean, that's the best of Hollywood, but the lens through which we see it has been the same way for many years. And I think using a new technology to bring out all these wonderful character actors, all these underseen people, that's almost chill inducing to me. That's a really effective tool. And it goes so far beyond the idea we have of these gifts as being kind of this funny, cute thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The transformation I guess I went through in terms of thinking from before I applied to even work at GIPHY, when I was like, I mean, do I want my job gifts and Homer Simpson hiding in the bushes? Like, that's fine, it's funny, but do I want to have that consume my life? And then I realized there's a lot more to it than that. I'm not saying it's, you know, the deepest thing ever. There are gifts actually that teach people sign language. There are gifts that sort of count along with you to breathe, to do breathing exercises for anxiety. Lots of ways to use this medium, and some of it can be to capture really nuanced performances, like close-ups in movies, show to your friends and get a huge laugh. You know, it can be all of the above.
Yeah. Well, one thing I love about the gifts is the way that people turn it into their own creation in a way. Like I think I didn't really get the concept or find it that interesting until I used to watch Scandal, and the way people were using gifs to react to
Mm.
Scandal, which of course all these big dramatic things are happening. So they were using, you know, Betty Davis laughing or somebody passing out. And I thought, you all put these gifts out on the market and then people actually use them as tools to create their own thing. And I find that so interesting.
Yeah. During live tweets, it is funny because there's lots of ways the conversation can go. People can use any sort of GIF to express what they're feeling while watching Scandal, or they can then use a Scandal GIF to express episode, or just during any time at all. And it can be very specifically tuned in to that audience. Like a GIF of Kerry Washington glass of wine is funny. It's funny on its own. So there's that usage of it. But then if you're a fan of the show, I think you appreciate it even more. So then it becomes that much more. It's just really interesting how that can work.
Has the way that people use these gifts, is there anything that's ever surprised you? I mean, I'm thinking particularly about classics because I don't know how often people know what it is they're using.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that I'm most surprised just when I see um, there is a GIF of Sid Charisse in, I believe, the movie You Were Never Lovelier. There's a GIF of her, and it's a very like sultry, dramatic, but also sultry entrance into a room. And as I was making it, I was thinking, you know, I don't know if anyone's ever going to use this. And I see it used a lot. And it's just funny when I see it on my Twitter timeline, and I'm just like, I don't know if you know who Sid Charisse is, and I'm not going to assume. Maybe you knows this movie. I don't know if this person knows this dance scene that's about to happen, but I love that they're using it, and I think that's when I'm most surprised because I've had my own reasons for making something specific. That's it. It takes a life of its own and is used for reasons that anybody else wants to use. So I just think that's really interesting.
Well, you've not only made GIFs out of movies, but you've actually starred in some GIFs. And I've actually used the one where you're holding the letter Y a lot. I
Yeah.
I actually searched for Y and put it in there before I realized it was you. Do you have any favorites of the ones that you've made of you?
Yeah, actually, Y might be my favorite one. I guess that was what I was going to say is the other surprising time when I see GIFs, just when people use them of me, and I just see it floating around, especially if I see celebrities
Oh,
random
wow.
GIF of me. It's very weird and strange and also cool in the way that the internet is a leveler, especially Twitter. It's a place where everyone is accessible to each other, give or take. And so anyone can use a GIF of you. And so when I see, I think it was one time Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Sean Combs, uh, me in that tweet, and it was just a funny, weird thing that whoever could have predicted that this could happen?
I mean, when you were making these, did you have any concept of how they would be used, or were you just we're just going to make these GIFs and put them out there?
Yeah, no, it is different gifts have been made for different purposes. So we're staff shoots where we're really just trying to practice production. So a lot of these shoots were even us just being like, let's work on can look in our studio. Let's see how different props can be used because we have done a lot of talent shoots. So it's really good for us to test these things with each other first, and then just see how things go. And then sometimes through data, we just see that some terms are highly searched terms that there's just not a lot of content for. So sometimes we'll just jump in the studio and be like, okay, well, people seem to want a lot more a plethora of happy birthday gifts on the internet, but just for example. And so we'll jump in the studio and do something to serve that term. So we often don't think this stuff after the fact. And a lot of it is just us kind of goofing around, acting silly, but also, just really learning camera work, lighting, all types of editing, post-production in general.
Well, it does seem like this beautifully creative environment. I mean, just what I've gathered from your social media, I mean, it's like screens and cameras and couches and dogs. It looks a little bit, it's like a playground almost, a little creative playground.
I have definitely called the GIPHY office an adult daycare many times.
So, and you know what? I can't think of a better way to spend your professional life, especially because you're actually helping people. So, going back to the search terms, I guess I was wondering if you got requests. I guess that is a way of getting a request.
It is in a way, but we get requests all the time. Sometimes people will tag me in tweets of a TV show that's currently airing or an award show. People tweet the GIPHY account all the time for requests, or even things that they just don't think looks right in certain search terms, and all of that is very helpful. So it happens for sure.
I love that they help you. That's nice. So, like going
Yeah.
forward, because you've talked about all these different kinds of things that these GIFs do, aside from just the content, but what kinds of things, just movie wise, do you want to do with the GIFs? Like, what is your vision of the future of GIPHY as it relates to movies, as it relates to classics?
I would like to continue to serve as archival purposes for classic films and a lot of classic or just archival. The Smithsonian Museum for African American Culture, they have a page on GIPHY, and I love it. They've gifted a lot of like civil rights march. That's incredible. I wish more museums and cultural institutions would gift their footage, because I just always find it really interesting. It's partly the reason why I love classic film, because I just love seeing how people lived, talked, acted, dressed, found funny, all in all eras. And so yeah, for classic film, I would love for a lot of people to be able to just kind of look up any movie they wanted. And especially filmmakers that and performers and all types of people in the industry that didn't quite get where they wanted to go per se. The Alice Guys and the Oscar Michauds and the Dorothy Arzner's, like all the marginalized trailblazers, the anime Wongs, So everything they did in gift form.
Well, this is just so exciting to contemplate, having all of this rich information at our fingertips. And I hope that you achieve all your goals with this. Tiffany, thank you so much for talking to me about this. It's been really fascinating.
Well, thank you so much. It was a complete pleasure.
For show notes, including more information about Tiffany's work at GIPHY and ways to support the podcast, go to watchingclassicmovies.com. If you like what you're hearing, please give the show a 5-star review at Apple Podcasts. It really helps. Thank you for listening. This is Kendall Kruver, watching classic movies. Until next time.